Back in 1999, I became a Christian. I was 20 years old, and I was coming off a life filled with random sex, drugs, and alcohol. God took me in and really began to work on my life. I got straightened out, was doing great stuff through church, and eventually married my girlfriend in December of '01. Things were rocking. I mean, life was better than ever before. But then, after about a year, through a series of different events, I began falling apart, literally. I felt like apart from my God, my wife, my children, my family, my closest friends. In early 2003, we found out we were expecting our first child. And then the old Adam came sneaking back. I began having affairs at work, which led to the random sex of my past. This escalated into heavy drinking and taking narcotic pills in the mornings just so I could chill out. My wife did not sign up for this deal. My son did not ask for a pitiful excuse for a father. And my parents did not raise their one and only son to be such a disgusting example of a man. Yet all I could think about were the dark desires that filled my mind. I knew I was wrong. I knew I was dishonoring God. And I knew I was a liar. But I also knew that I was forgiven. You know, how sick it is to use the grace of God as a get-out-of-hell-free card. But that's exactly what I was doing. It was my fault. It was my doing and no one else's. I wanted to believe it was my wife's fault, but I knew deep down inside that I just wasn't being a man. My lifestyle kept plummeting down, even to the point where I was actually actively pursuing further sexual encounters. I began doing IV drugs in the morning after work. I would sit in fast food parking lots, and while people were driving by, going about their normal lives, I was putting needles in my veins just to numb myself for a few minutes. I remember one of the lowest points was when my wife came home and I was sleeping because I worked night shift, and I was barely breathing, maybe 2 or 3 times a minute because I was just so high. I often got sick and I began to lose a lot of weight. God kept holding on to me. He wouldn't let go. We ended up separating. I mean, why not? I was pretty much worthless. Our second child was born while we were separated, but I just continued to fall. I just continued to fall deeper and deeper. And you know, I knew what God wanted from me. I knew what was right and I knew what was wrong, but I continued to choose my way. The way that the Bible says leads to destruction. It was like I couldn't get free of even me. I mean, I was rapidly descending in this downward spiral headed straight for death. I knew what was right. I wanted to do what was right. A part of me wanted to do what was right, but another part of me just flat out refused. And then that's when God had seen enough, and He stepped in. I met a man who, along with another believer from my past, came directly into the darkness to guide me back. On Valentine's Day 2007, my divorce finalized. By April, I had ended yet another affair and was back home based on a previous prayer. I asked my wife to trust, not in me, but in her God. Through honesty, hard work, forgiveness, tough love, and the support of a few certain faithful people, we were able to get remarried in October, and I regained my first love, Jesus Christ. When you fall into the depths of a cold, dark world that you create on your own, and God spares your life again, it tends to put you in your proper perspective. That is, a sinner saved by grace and grace alone, not by anything you have done. Today, because of my wife's amazing character and stature as a woman of God, we are together and committed to each other and God. And through all this, He has seen fit to allow us to help so many people beginning to help repair their lives and their struggles. I take that responsibility very seriously, and I will give the rest of my life paying it back. This is